Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live chat with James, coming to you from the ProPix TV studios. At this hour, it seems that Donald Trump couldn't wait to get out of the G7 summit and start flinging mud back at the leaders who are there. In this particular instance, he has taken to X to not only take jabs at the French Prime Minister Macron, but also to make hints about something very big that's about to go down. And it does not involve a peace agreement or a ceasefire in the Middle East. Now, let's take a look at the exact words of Donald Trump's tweet that he sent out, or truth post that was reposted to Twitter. And people are calling him a psychopath, including Midas Touch Network. Now, here is exactly what Trump tweeted out this evening. Publicity-seeking President Emmanuel Macron of France mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit in Canada to go back to DC to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wrong. He has no idea why I am now on my way to Washington, but it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire. Much bigger than that. Whether purposely or not, Emmanuel always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. This goes back to my announcement earlier today, where I suspect that Trump is actually involved or going to be involved in an attack on the Iranian people. I believe that right now, as it stands, Israel has the issue of not having what they refer to as the bunker buster bombs in order to penetrate the mountain that they claim has a bunker where there is a part of Iran's nuclear program being housed. If this is in fact the case, it means that not only is Donald Trump going ahead with taking a role in the war between Israel and Iran, but it also leaves to question why he did not inform or speak with any of the G7 or NATO nations ahead of any action that potentially could be happening. Now, again, it is suspected that the United States is about to strike in Iran over the next day. And this is very important because of the fact that, again, it brings the U.S. directly into the war with Iran, and in the midst of that, supporting Israel as well. As the U.S., if they do proceed to attack Iran, it is going to open up not only the threat from Iran that they've already very clearly made that if the U.S. does participate, that Iran will take action to strike U.S. bases in the Middle East. At this hour, again, Donald Trump saying that it is not about a ceasefire, the reason he left the G7 summit. Again, he has stated on X, while insulting Mr. Emmanuel Macron of France, but while he's doing that, he is insinuating there is something very big about to happen, and it is not a ceasefire. So again, leading more in the direction of the U.S. participating in the war against Iran. They have given a public notice not only to those at the G7 summit prior to his departure, but also online, warning people to get out of Tehran. There's millions of people there that would need to be evacuated. In several of the news briefings, they are talking, or they have been speaking with residents in the area. And of course, there are large traffic jams trying to get out of the capital of Iran, as well as other areas. Now, one of the big issues is, again, the traffic jams that are happening. People can't get out because of the fact that it is such a jam there of cars trying to flee, but also people who are not considered in the area, and that is the working class and the lower class individuals who cannot afford to leave the area. Again, that leaves them on their own to try and protect themselves, to try and find shelter from any incoming attacks. We know that there have been hundreds of people killed since Friday in the Middle East in these attacks going back and forth between Israel and Iran. Once again, it is suspected that the U.S. is taking a very aggressive approach with Iran, and we know that Trump in the past has said that he thinks it should just be wiped off the map, essentially. This is big news coming out of the White House. Again, Trump making his statements earlier this evening, and after he left the G7 summit and while he was on Air Force One heading back to Washington, D.C. As there has been speculation that it was because of peace talks and a potential ceasefire and that things were unfolding quickly, I called it earlier this evening that I didn't see any need for evacuation orders, warnings to get people out of Tehran if it was indeed a ceasefire. That just wouldn't have made any sense at all. That some news agencies, including the CBC, were saying it was for peace talks and a ceasefire agreement. That doesn't make sense if they are warning people to evacuate the capital city and evacuate other regions around around Iran. They are also warning people and non-essential workers, including embassies and consulates, to evacuate immediately. The United States military is reportedly on standby to assist with those evacuations. When exactly the timeline is for the strikes against Iran is another question. Now, this also brings up a point that if they are taking major action against Iran, are they planning on doing this within the overnight timing here in North America? Or are they looking at a few days down the road? But again, giving Iran the opportunity to change their mind potentially by giving all of these hints and clues and subtleties through the media and through social media posts. Is this a ploy to try and push them into submission of an agreement? It doesn't appear that Iran is anywhere near looking to be included in any type of discussion when it comes to any type of ceasefire or any type of prolonged peace agreements or peace talks. So again, it appears that from our view and my opinion that it looks like the U.S. will be engaging into the war in the Middle East. It does look as though they have reportedly turned several of the U.S. military ships towards the Middle East. Iran has also not ruled out blocking certain marine traffic areas in order to slow or stop the supply of oil to foreign markets. And this again is a concern to the U.S. that with shipping lanes blocked and lack of control there, that it brings up everything from a financial crisis worldwide for energy, but it could impact the worldwide economies more so than all of Trump's tariffs, as well as even the pandemic. This could have catastrophic impacts on the world economy. So again, is it a time that the U.S. is getting ready to strike? We'll have to watch and see over the next 24 to 48 hours, but it could happen sooner. Once again, Donald Trump's tweet tonight, not only is he back in Washington, but again, I'll read this out word for word. So at 10:15 p.m., I would assume that to be, Washington time. But again, he put out publicity seeking President Emmanuel Macron of France mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit in Canada to go back to DC to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wrong. He has no idea why I am now on my way to Washington, but it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire. Much bigger than that. Whether purposely or not, Emmanuel always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. So again, a huge concern that the U.S. is about to launch attacks on Iran, and whether or not that is the case, we'll know within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would assume. But again, the U.S. government has stated that they are ready to go in and help with evacuations of non-essential staff from their embassy. And help with other evacuations. Once more, it appears that obviously he has not brought this up with the G7 leadership. He has not brought it up with the NATO members either. So again, he seems to be going off to act on his own. And it also should be noted that at the G7 summit today, the world leaders that were in attendance were signing an order essentially looking to get a ceasefire in Israel and Iran, dictating to the principals there, or the leadership there, that it must come to the table and start talking ceasefire and to move things in a peaceful manner. Should be noted that Donald J. Trump was the only world leader at the G7 that refused to sign this. Once again, he obviously had different opinions than a lot of the G7 leaders when it comes to what's happening in Iran. He is a staunch supporter of Israel. He made that very clear today in no uncertain words at the G7 summit. He had also stated to a reporter today when she asked what it would take for the U.S. to get involved in the war and to be going up against Iran. He said that he did not want to discuss it to the reporter at the G7 today. Further to that, he also finished off that sentence with, "We'll see." So obviously there was, a lot of reason to believe that Donald Trump is preparing to go in and attack Iran. Now, with that stated, of course, we know that there are a lot of instabilities, a lot of historical factors that have played into this when it comes to the problems in the Middle East. However, it should also be noted that Donald Trump is the only world leader that was at the G7 that didn't want to insist on a next level peace agreement and a ceasefire within the Middle East as a directive. So again, it shows where Donald Trump's mind is, obviously backing his friends, Netanyahu, Vladimir Putin. There's a lot to be said for his lack of real interest in bringing peace to the Middle East. I do believe that it is a lot alike when it comes to the war in Ukraine and Russia, that he seems to want to try to make the public feel like he is getting somewhere with a peace talks and ceasefires, and then just blames it on mostly on Zelensky for not having peace there in Ukraine. Again, going to protect his friend Vladimir Putin. And we saw this again today at the G7 during the press conference, how he continually went back and forth trying to defend Vladimir Putin, trying to go after Justin Trudeau and Barack Obama for ejecting Russia and Vladimir Putin from the G7, which at the time was the G8, of course. With that said, he still hasn't got a clue that Justin Trudeau was not even prime minister at that time. It was his predecessor, and that just is lost on Donald Trump. And at one point, he was asked about China. He started talking about China for about, 2 sentences, and then got distracted by butterflies and started talking about Putin and Russia. And it's not clear if he lost his train of thought and what he was talking about, or if he actually thought Putin was also the president of China. Who knows with Donald Trump? But again, it is important to note that there is potential involvement against Iran coming very soon by the United States military. It's also been reported that in addition to the repositioning of various military assets from the U.S. military, that apparently, or reports have come out that the Royal Air Force from Britain has also been moving assets into the Middle East as well. So we'll have to watch how this plays out. With that said, we don't know exactly why Trump left the summit early, and it's interesting that he left before people such as Narendra Modi from India arrived, or Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine. And I know that a lot of the world leaders were hoping to have side sessions and side discussions with Donald Trump over the next several days. But as he departed early, that obviously will not happen. But again, we'll keep you up to date on any advancements or any updates when it comes to the U.S. attack on Iran. In other news, folks, of course, we must acknowledge the Peel Regional Police Department. They have made a major dent in organized crime in the city, and they have made several arrests. This actually has been going on, the investigation in itself, against this organized crime group and others in relation to an extortion ring that's been going on, not only involving threats against individuals, and especially those in the South Asian community, the Sikh community, the Hindu community, and others, but they also have been involved in violent attacks, in arsons. The police department also confiscated a bunch of tow trucks. As they're in the tow business, they confiscated some high-end supercars, including a Lamborghini. They confiscated over $40,000 in cash. They confiscated guns, bullets, ammunitions, bulletproof vests, police tags for those vests, and much more. This happened in Peel Region. They have arrested a number of people in this crackdown and this long-standing operation. They are expecting more arrests to happen as well. But this makes a major dent in the region when it comes to the extortion problem that's been going on for several years now at the hands of organized crime. Whether or not the Lawrence Bishnoi gang is directly or indirectly involved with these gangs, we don't know yet. We will find out, hopefully, from the Peel Regional Police what gangs were suspectedly involved, that these individuals who are in custody were involved with. It's also important to note that approximately half of the individuals arrested were actually on court release, so they were on bail, and that was stemming from other charges. So once again, the federal government, with the crackdown coming on the bail system and the harsher restrictions on those released on bail, or for them to get bail in the first place when it comes to violent or criminal gang activity. We'll watch and see how that plays out, if it actually is going to make a difference or not. But at this time, again, those individuals are in custody, and it should create a bit of reprieve for those who have been suffering fear and threats and intimidation, as well as the extortion in the community in the Peel region. So we'll watch and see how that plays out over the next few days. As more information comes out and gets released, we'll also reach out to some of the community groups and find out how the certain diasporas are feeling within the region now that the police have made some major progress on busting up this extortion ring. When we look at other issues that are going on, we know that there are still a lot of wildfires that are burning out of control. Recently, firefighters from several countries have arrived in Canada to assist with not only the wildfires burning in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, but also in British Columbia, in Alberta, and in Ontario, among other regions. It should be noted that over the weekend there was a large amount of rain in some regions of Saskatchewan, which helped to get control on some of the major wildfires that have been happening throughout the province of Saskatchewan. So the updates are coming from the various organizations, whether that's government or the different ministries, including forests and public safety. But again, the rain was helping with the wildfires over the weekend. So again, some good news there. Some people have been able to return to their homes that were previously under evacuation orders in Saskatchewan. And let's hope that more progress can be made across the country on the wildfires burning out of control this early in the season. With the recent attacks in Minnesota, one lawmaker and her husband were shot and killed by an assailant, and another politician was attacked in his home with his wife, where they both sustained gunshots. At this point, the attacker has been arrested. People are still asking the main question as to why it happened. But at the end of the day, the point is that it did happen, and what can be done to prevent these type of shootings and this violence in the long term should be a bigger concern and a bigger question. It should also be of note that a lot of the gun regulations and restrictions that were brought in by the previous administration have been taken out. So less control outside of the communities, with court decisions that also limited what communities in terms of city, municipal, and other local governments can do to put laws against gun ownership. So that's been a big bone of contention for both sides of the gun debate. When it comes to that, though, at least the individual has been arrested, and we'll bring you more information in the coming days as more information comes available. As we were talking about the G7, other leaders did have meetings and discussions today, including side discussions with France and Canada. Excuse me, folks, my sincere apologies. So that is good news, and that not only did that take place, but Mark Carney did have an opportunity to have some discussions with Donald Trump for about 70 minutes before he left the G7 to return to Washington. Out of that meeting, it came out that Mark Carney and Donald Trump have an agreement, a signed agreement, that they are striving to have a trade deal done within 30 days, and what that will look like, we'll have to watch and see. Donald Trump reiterated the fact that he loves his tariffs. So it looks as though he wants to maintain some level of tariffs on Canada, whereas obviously Mark Carney has different ideas, and that we'll watch and see. But it does appear that there has been some cooling on the tensions between Canada and the U.S. with Mark Carney, and it looks like we could be getting closer to some type of a trade deal being done. It will take time, but hopefully it will happen. Other than that, folks, that is pretty much our quick summary of the news tonight. One other point coming up in the foreseeable future is a leadership review for the Canadian Conservative Party. That means that Pierre Poilievre, will face a review within his party. This is a mandatory review that gets triggered by the fact that he did not step down or resign when he lost his seat in the recent elections. Although he is going to be running in a by-election in Alberta to try and get a seat within government that another elected official has stepped aside to allow the by-election to happen, and for them to try to set it up so that Pierre Poilievre can get that seat. However, it still means a mandatory review by the Conservatives. With that said, folks, I hope that you have a good evening. Thank you for tuning in. We'll have more from the G7 summit tomorrow. We'll have more information on the advancements and any news that comes out about the U.S. moving in to attack Iran, and any other updates on news as it breaks. So once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Live Chat with James. Don't forget that you are welcome to leave your comments and your opinions and your request for stories that you would like to see us cover here in the future. Just leave those in the comment section. They do get reviewed, even if you're watching a rebroadcast on another platform such as YouTube or Facebook or such. We do review the comments. So again, please feel free to leave comments there. We do review them and we'll respond to your comments as well. So take care, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into this session of Live Chat with James. Have yourself a wonderful evening and stay safe, everyone.